What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers weekly tech podcast. This is episode 202, and this episode is, of course, brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something that helps us out and, of course, keeps the podcast ongoing. With me is my co-host, Ryan. What's up, Ryan?
Just a busy day at work and ready to relax on the podcast and do some gaming tonight.
Yeah, we will be gaming later. We have the link on the stream, as you guys can see, on our Twitch channel. That's where we do all the gaming. We do the podcast, of course, here on YouTube. But man, well, not all the holidays are over, but the main holidays are over.
We got Christmas and New Year's coming up, man.
Yeah, I guess Christmas and New Year's. But I've gone to so many Friendsgivings, right. Thanksgivings, everything. I've eaten so much food.
Yeah, I did eat quite a bit over the last week. So
yeah, I've eaten way too much.
I think we got rid of all of our leftovers and everything, which is kind of nice. So
yeah, I felt like I've been eating turkey for the past 2.5 weeks, maybe, or something like that. But then we had Black Friday.
Yeah,
and then we had Cyber Monday and all that craziness that goes with it. Now, did you go out at all for either of them?
Not to go shop. Well, okay, we did go shopping. I went to Walmart on Black Friday, but it was at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So it was still busy. It was a lot busier than I thought it would be, but it was nowhere near the madness that Black Friday can be. So, and we weren't shopping for anything like doorbuster deals or anything like that. It was random items we needed anyway. So
yeah, no. I don't go out. I haven't for a long time. Just why, I guess.
Yeah, and it's the Black Friday deals to me. I feel like I got into that type of thing long before it became the commercial, huge thing about 10 years ago, where you would actually get a leaked ad from Best Buy or somewhere, and it would be the same products that they currently sold, and you knew what they would be on sale for, so you would go and buy them ahead of time at regular price so that you would know that you had it, and then go back in a day after Black Friday and get the extra money back on the receipt. So
wow.
Yeah.
You're really old.
Yeah. That was when Black Friday, ad leaks were, you were getting these scanned copies from somebody's marketing department, and
that's kind of crazy to think about, because now there's dedicated websites that have all the scans, all the deals, and for a lot of it, unless you're looking for something specific, I would say the deals, to deal with all the people and to wake up early and to do all of that, is it really all that worth it? And at least for a lot of the things, the deals were going on all week. They're Black Friday early.
Deals available now. And I was okay.
We might as well talk about it now since we're talking about Black Friday, but you got a nice little hardware upgrade.
I did. I bought the Ryzen 7 3800X, and I also picked up the Asus Crosshair 8 Hero. So I'm looking forward to getting those installed. We'll do a full liquid cooled build coming up with that as well. So pretty excited.
We reviewed that board not that long ago, and I was actually surprised you picked this one up. But you're a Crosshair person, I feel.
I am.
You like the USB ports on it.
Yeah, I've got the Crosshair 6 now. I love all the USB ports. That was one of the main reasons that I bought it. I think it's one of the best looking boards for 570.
Yeah, and what was kind of disappointing, talking about PC hardware on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, is that Intel had no deal.
Yeah,
they had no sale. They had nothing.
It's pretty sad.
And it's with their, especially when it comes to their gaming processors, there was nothing to be seen. And that was just very surprising. I feel like they dropped the ball.
They probably lost out on so much, in my opinion.
AMD had the 3800X, which you picked up on sale. They had the 3600X on sale. The Ryzen 7 2700X was $150.
It was really cheap.
Yeah, it was super cheap. One of their newer APUs was on sale as well. And then they actually had a combo deal, which was a Cyber Monday deal, which was I believe it was a 3800X, like a higher end MSI X570 board and a 512 gig Samsung, one of their M.2 drives, like their Evo. All of it together was like $150 less than if you would have bought them separately at their already discounted prices too.
Oh wow.
So that sold out. Like I posted about it and then it sold out.
It was gone.
Like, yeah, it was gone. But like those are the things that I just feel like Intel really dropped the ball. Like if you could put together, a decent Intel processor, Z390 board and like an SSD like that on a deal like that, I think that would be great. Or if you just like even discounted your processors like $30,
right? Anything, but nothing. I don't know who's dropping the ball over there.
Yeah, I just feel like they kind of missed out, and that's an Intel thing. They never discount anything, so unless they're trying to clean house, which doesn't happen all that often. When they do that, I got a TV.
Have you gotten it in yet?
Yes, and it had
been a while since you had a new one too, right?
Yeah, so my TV was a Sharp Aquos from 10 years ago.
Okay.
I don't watch I guess I do watch a whole lot of TV, but I really don't. And like quality has never been a big thing. I stream most things too. And like, yeah, you can stream in 4K, but like,
it's not like a Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's not like a Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
I don't play games on a TV. I play it on, my monitor sitting in front of me. But I picked up I'll bring it up here for you guys. This the Samsung. I don't need it's their QLED with it's a 4K. It's their Q60 series 4K with HDR and Alexa. And the thing that was interesting about this is that this started the week of Black Friday. They started this TV sale and it went all the way through. And the TV that I actually got, the 55-inch, is completely sold out now. But like 3 months ago, I talked about this maybe on the last podcast. Like 3 months ago, I was looking for, a 4K TV, and I don't need anything great. I don't need, and like I had a price in mind, and I was going to get the cheaper Samsung, not the QLED, but the QLED ended up dropping down in price to like where I wanted, kind of where I wanted to buy.
Sure.
The picture quality is awesome. It's 120 hertz, which it is a little weird to watch TV at 120 hertz.
Can you turn it back to 60? Can you turn that off?
I think you can, but I haven't even got into it.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty cool. Like again, I've had a TV that like had no smart capability or anything, but it has this cool menu that comes up, and Samsung actually has their own streaming like TV like channels that you
platform,
and all that kind of stuff. I can turn it on with Alexa, but the picture quality is really good. And just like my TV, I don't know how much it weighed, but it weighs twice as much as this TV. I mean, they're both flat panels technically,
right?
But yeah, it was, like I said, I'm so happy with it.
Cool.
So really good deals. And I picked up I think I still have it because I haven't even opened it. I have I don't know if you got one of these, the Amazon Smart Plug.
Nah, I didn't. I've got others from other companies.
Yeah, they had this deal. These were $5.
Oh, man, I should have.
Yeah, you could only get one, and you had to order it through Alexa, so you had to do that. But I mean, $5.
That's not a bad deal.
But there was a ton of great deals. I think we saw deals pretty much across the board when it came to PC hardware, which is really great. I think they've really kind of embraced Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Before it was like a lot of like laptops and full systems, but now we see Corsair, Razer, HyperX, Thermaltake, like all the big brands that you want to actually buy hardware from, like they all had deals. Things were incredibly discounted too. Sometimes up to like 50, I think I saw 58% off a Corsair keyboard. So a lot of really cool stuff. I think that I fully embrace just shopping online on Black Friday. It's just, I feel it makes more sense, and you don't have to deal with all the craziness and everything like that. But let's jump into reviews, and we have two really cool products. The first one here is one of the fastest SSDs that I've ever tested, It's the Sabrent Rocket, and they actually make a PCI Express 3.0, but this is their PCI Express 4.0. M.2 Solid State Drive. We received the 1 terabyte version. You can see it here, and has this massive heatsink. It's probably the biggest heatsink that I've ever seen, or at least ever had the chance of like checking out on an M.2 drive. I mean, it is just, it's huge. It has heat pipes.
Yeah,
like an M.2 cooler that has heat pipes, which is pretty cool. This is based on the same Phison controller and uses the same Toshiba 64 layer or 96 layer, sorry, TLC NAND from Toshiba. So it's basically the same drive hardware wise as the Aorus Gen 4 drive that we also reviewed, and they actually perform pretty much the same. They're technically the same drive.
Pretty much the same thing, except for different cooling solutions.
Different cooling solutions. So the thing about this cooling solution is that it is bigger. So you have to worry about it if it's going to fit and things like that. You can see just how big it is. I mean, it's really big. And it's wider too. So it's wider than your typical M.2, not by much, but it is a little wider. So those are things you're going to have to consider when doing this. You have to install it yourself, and that wouldn't be an issue to me if like they just sold this drive as is, but they sell one without the heatsink, and they sell one with the heatsink. So if you're buying it with a heatsink, you want it installed. So I just feel like that's like an extra, just an extra thing that doesn't, like an extra step that you, the user, have to take. I would just like to have it come and me install it. You know what I mean?
So you said they sell the cooler on its own?
They sell the cooler on its own. They sell a version of the drive, just a a plain drive without it. You know, and they sell the, like I said,
I mean, I guess it gives you options. Like if you want that cooler and run it on a different drive, that's fine. Or if you want to use a different cooler on their drive, it gives you options. But most people probably just want all in one.
Yeah, or like I said, if you're going to use your motherboards, you're not going to buy the one that's more, because the one that comes with the cooler is more expensive.
Right.
So, like I said, but as far as performance goes, I mean, this is super fast. It's rated for 5 gigabytes a second read and 4.4 gigabytes a second write. It performs,
it looked like it got pretty close to that.
Yeah, it got really, really close in pretty much all of our tests. And one thing that was interesting is that the write speed was actually about 200 megabytes per second faster than the Aorus drive. So I don't know if that's a firmware thing or what, but great performance, as you can see, super fast, and it's not all that expensive. I mean, when you think about it, this is 1 terabyte of it. It's a 1 terabyte SSD. It's $179.99. That is with the heatsink. $169 without it. And you can actually buy the heatsink for $25 as well. Just a great drive. I mean, can you like PCI Express 4.0 SSD?
That's so fast
for under $200 for 1 terabyte. Like SSDs are just getting super affordable now.
Super cheap. Yeah, that's pretty good value.
Yeah, so I gave it a 9 out of 10, and I gave it a recommended award. So like, if you would ask me, what Gen 4 SSD should you get, this would be on the one of the ones on the top of my list. The only issues, like I said, is that the heatsink doesn't come pre-installed, just for the fact, again, if you're buying the heatsink version, you're gonna want it, and it's extra installation. And if you have never installed a cooler on an M.2, you might not know what you're doing, and and then just clearance issues. Just look into your motherboard and see if it will actually fit. That's
Now, you ran this on the Aorus board, is that right?
Yeah, I ran it on the Aorus board. Yeah,
just all those shields and everything that come on so many of those boards now. You definitely have to watch out for some of those.
I ran it in the bottom M.2.
Is that the only one it was really compatible with?
Well, see, the thing is that it's hard to see in that picture. Let me see if I have a different picture. No, I don't. So it actually, because of how you can use, it's hard to see, but the actual locking clip for the PCI Express slot will not close because of the heat.
Oh, it runs into the, wow.
Yeah. So those are things to think about, like I said.
Definitely.
But as far as performance, this is A-grade drive. Almost all the drives that are out right now are based on the exact same hardware. So it comes down to, you know,
some firmware tweaks and
firmware
maybe
tweaks,
thermals.
And like just like the Aorus drive, this also has a 5-year warranty too. So they're pretty much all, you know, cover the same. So definitely check out that review. Super fast SSD, just a great SSD. And yeah, it's like I said, it's about what is PCI Express Max is out at 3,500, so this is at 5,000. So nice little upgrade
Very
there.
nice.
But you remember, you do have to have a X570 motherboard and Ryzen 3000 series processor. You can't run it on an old
Ryzen with a new board.
Yeah, old Ryzen with a new board. It won't work that way. So definitely, definitely check out the review. Like I said, just an awesome product. And then I took a look at some DDR4. We were for a while now. You know, we were looking at DDR4 kits that weren't RGB. But we're moving back to an RGB kit. You got to have some RGB.
You know, it wasn't going to last for long.
Yeah. So we took a look at HyperX's Fury, their RGB DDR4-3200 16GB kit. Fury is sort of like their kind of mid-tier range of products. Great memory. Not the tightest timings on these. That's kind of expected. These run at 16, 18, 18 at 1.35 volts. So again, not the tightest timings when it comes to DDR4, especially at 3200 megahertz. But they're just like a great kit. And this kit does feature their infrared, or I don't know if it's called infrared. What is it called? It's called their I don't know if it's infrared. I forget the actual technology.
It is.
Yeah. But it's a technology that actually allows the memory to stay in sync. And that's important. Just in general, like it's not a big deal, but you know, if you're looking at, like I'm looking at my system over here and it has RGB DDR4 in it, and they're all out of sync.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Sorry, mine.
Yeah, it just happens. That's just the way it is. But what HyperX has done is they have this technology where the modules kind of like speak to each other and they keep in sync. So all of the different effects you have will actually be in sync well after you turn on your system. So that's one cool thing. We saw it, I think, maybe 2 years ago at CES. And that was with I believe it was with their Predator modules. One thing that's cool about these is that they do work with their RGB software now. So if you do happen to have a motherboard that doesn't have RGB control that you're running this in, or you don't want to use your motherboard RGB control, their Ingenuity, is that how you say it? Yeah. Ingenuity. And what's interesting is that they're doing this all through Microsoft Store. So it's
interesting.
What do they call that? I don't know.
Oh, the type of install there.
But I was kind of like, that's weird. Like, I just want to download an exe, you know. But it actually worked great. It works out really well. It allows you to, you know, control the memory and things like that. The Predator kit that came out maybe like a year and a half ago did not have any of their own software. So it's nice that this kit does. You can control everything. You don't have to worry about like conflicts with your motherboard RGB software. You can just run it off this if you want. And it works really well. In my testing with it, it worked quite well. You have a whole, you know, list of effects and different things you can do. And it does show, like it will show in real time, you know, what the effects are doing and things like that. So works out really well. We tested the memory. It performed good, but I mean, it's not crazy high performance memory, right?
Yeah,
again,
it's not high
you're running
speed.
You're running at 3200 megahertz CL16. But like I said, I think it's a good kit. I think that the light bars are good. They're very bright. The diffuser works well. The software works
it looks
good.
like.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
It looks pretty diffused. Like, I mean, in that picture right there, you can kind of see where the LEDs probably are, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not the best RGB kit we've seen, but it's still really good. And then for like more of a mid-range, just like solid, like, you know, you're going to get this kit and you're not going to have problems.
Yeah. Price is going to be I think one of the main factors here.
Yeah. And this is $98.99 for the 16 gig kit. So I think it's a good kit. Like I said, it's a more solid kit. It's like a kit that's like, yeah, this is going to work on my motherboard. With those 4,000 and higher kits, you're like, you might have some issues. It might not run. And it does have the software, which I think is a big thing. And I think that having good RGB software is a good thing. And when you don't have it, it's kind of
it's a headache.
Yeah. So again, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's just kind of basic memory. So, we couldn't give it a 10 out of 10. So, yeah. So that brings us to Case Mod Friday. And the Cooler Master, what they would call the Case Mod World Series, just finished up not that long ago. So there's a lot of builds coming from that. And we're featuring one. So this one is called the SL600 MI or me. I think it's probably wants to call it me.
Me, probably.
Yeah. Basically, Time Play, who's the builder, he took Cooler Master's SL600M, which is an ATX case, and turned it into a mini ITX case, which is actually really cool. Lots of water cooling in here. Just some awesome stuff. Really great cabling in here. He has kind of gone with the Cooler Master Purple, which is, like I said, I think it works well in this case.
Yeah, I think this build's pretty awesome.
And one thing that's cool is that, most of the time, let me find a better picture of like the maybe in the back here. Most of the time you see a motherboard, up against the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's actually built a custom motherboard tray that sits on top of the PSU. And there were a couple ITX cases that did this a few years ago. We don't see it as much anymore, but very cool. All, custom build here. Really, really great. It just looks good. And whatever this powder coating here is on the power supply.
Yeah, well, it's got his logo there.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's a piece of acrylic that he cut.
Yeah,
whatever. Well, maybe not.
I think it is powder coated. I don't know, but
it's got some glittering there.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It looks awesome. Just a great job. And like the water cooling's there, the cabling's there. Like it's just a solid build. But if you would like look at this from, it's just sitting there, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's just like, but once you take the sides off, it's a really, really good build.
Yeah, and if that build log has some great pictures in it as well. I mean, it's got so many images from him.
Yeah, so we linked the build log in the post so you can see how he kind of basically cut the case down in size, and
it gets torn up.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
That's pretty impressive. And you see these builds get completed, and you're like, yeah, like it's cool. Like I could do that, but you don't realize he basically took the whole case apart, cut it in half, made it into a smaller case, like did all that stuff. And if you look at the case, I mean, it looks like,
yeah, looks like you could just go buy it.
Yeah, so his whole thing was that he wanted to kind of maybe inspire Cooler Master to make a mini ITX version of the case. So maybe they will in the future. Maybe it's something we'll see at CES. I don't know.
Yeah, that reservoir he made. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, really cool stuff. So definitely check that out. And as I always say, we do have our full section of Case Mod Friday builds. So if you're looking for inspiration, or you just want to see what's possible, maybe you're new into building, PCs and you want to see what's possible, we have a ton of builds in there. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And giveaway is still going on with Corsair. Yes, contest. So we are giving away, if you guys don't know, a Corsair iQ QL120 RGB fan kit. It's their 3-fan kit that comes with a controller. Basically, we'll get you set up in the Corsair ecosystem. Still 13 days left, so just under 2 weeks left on this. Super easy to enter. We reviewed the fan kit a few weeks back. Check it out if you're interested in these fans. It's pretty much the best RGB fans that Corsair makes currently. And we're giving you guys away a kit, so pretty excited about that. So check out the page. It is linked in the show notes, and you can go ahead and get your entry in for that. And that brings us to news. And I feel it's like the time of year where it's like, okay, companies have already released all their stuff for holiday. Yep. So we're in this kind of lull between that time and CES where we're like, there's just like a few releases and like basically rumors mentioned like things like, oh, you know,
maybe we'll see this, in Vegas. Who knows?
yeah,
It is kind of a downtime though.
yeah. So to start things off, we have some news about AMD, and a lot of people have been asking about this. Is the RX 5500 and RX 5500 XT and RX 5600, which is something we've never talked about. So according to these reports and rumors, is that AMD will unveil their RX 5500 XT and an RX 5600 series. So the 5600 series is something we've never talked about. In the 5500 XT is something that we have talked about. The 5600 we haven't, and we don't know what it's going to be based off of, because it's going to sit between the 5500 XT and the 5700 XT or 5700. It's kind of interesting. When we first heard about the 5500 XT, we thought there would be something in the middle, but it's kind of weird that this one has remained under wraps, or at least until now, I guess.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been any like driver leaks on this. There hasn't, which means like people don't have this yet. Like it's not out there.
Right.
I
almost feel like they're playing NVIDIA's game right now with like reacting to an NVIDIA part with some of these launches. Maybe not, because really we've only had the 5700 series and we're just kind of fleshing out this new architecture. So maybe not, but it just feels like we've had so many releases lately from the NVIDIA side that this feels like a reaction to them.
Yeah, in these cards, so the 5500 XT is meant to compete against the 1660 Super, and the 5600 series will be against the 1660 Ti.
Okay.
Which again, I don't like all these names. But yeah, so with that said, the 5500 XT we already know has 1536 stream processors. The RX 5700 non-XT has 2304. So there is wiggle room between those two, a decent amount, to release some type of card. You know what I mean? Yep. So we'll see. But from what I know and from what I've heard, the 5500 XT is not far off. I know people that have them already. So that release should be coming here in the next, week or so. And then the 5600 XT might be a little bit after it. They might launch on the same day. I don't know. But so cool. We're going to get more competition, which I think is a good thing. I think,
sure,
it's coming down. And
I mean, at that price range right now from the AMD side, you've got old tech. So it'd be nice to have some new tech in that price range from them. Yeah.
And I think a lot of, not to sound bad, but like a lot of AMD fanboys aren't like the ones who spend a lot of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you.
It's about it still is the value.
It's the value brand,
especially on the GPU side. It still is.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be really happy to see newer tech, like not an architecture that's like a revision of a revision of a revision.
Yeah.
So that's like I said, that's exciting. We'll definitely let you guys know about those cards when they do come out. And moving on to a very interesting design, and we want to talk about this because I think it is interesting, and I want to make a couple points about these cards, based on their looks specifically. So HIS has released these new pink and blue Army RX 5700 XTs. You guys can see them here. They're very interesting in their design. And the thing that I have to say about these, well, first, they are based off the company's IceQ X2 design. They're basically the same card. They just put a different shroud and backplate and everything like that on them. The thing I have to say about these, especially, I guess both of them, like if you're doing a pink theme build, like this would look cool, right?
Yep.
So we have a pink camo and a blue camo, but like, especially the blue, how are you going to match this with anything?
Right. You have to be doing a frost theme, or maybe like a water theme, right? Like it locks you in. Which I don't like to see.
The biggest thing is that one, even if you're going to paint your case or your motherboard or any of
Mhm.
that stuff blue, it's not going to match, it's not going to match this. Like this, like you're not going
Right.
to
That you're
match,
definitely not going to get that pattern for sure.
you're not going to get the pattern in the card. I feel it's just going to stand out. It's just going to stand out. And it's not even like we've seen some kind of like camo-ish designs, but they're not crazy like this. And they're not, like I said, I just think this car is just going to be like, just be an eyesore inside of your case.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they're like a limited quantity type of release. Just
Yeah.
because
And I could honestly see like the pink one makes sense. Like there's not that many cards available for people who like pink and females. Like this one makes more sense. The blue, I just think it's going to stand out way too much in the build, and it's just not going to look right. It's not going to match if you have an all blue system or an all black. It's just not going to match up well.
Scroll down to the back plates. See, now those don't like. I can get behind those. Those look fine to me.
Yeah, the backplates look great.
Continue something similar on the shroud, maybe, right? Maybe one or two tone, and maybe not the. I mean, I know they're going for that camo look, I guess, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I could see them doing these colors, with some streaks or something like that.
Right.
But the camo just makes it so hard for it to look good. I mean, it's just going to stand out to me. It's just, yeah. Old man said he can't see them because they're camouflage. Yeah, I mean, they just, like I said, they're just out there. So yeah, so that is
interesting.
That's a very, very interesting cards from HIS. Moving on to Intel, and of course we know Intel supposedly.
This was some pretty recent news, wasn't it?
Yeah, today this came out. But we know Intel is working on discrete GPUs, at least we think. And when they came out and they said they were doing this, they snagged the main guy from AMD, Raja Kaduri. They snagged him, who was AMD's chief GPU architect. So that's like a huge, but then they start snagging like all of the PR people, everybody who worked at AMD went over to Intel.
Right. So you figured they would probably have something pretty decent in the works.
Yeah, but both Chris Hook and the main marketing girl who was at AMD, they're no longer with Intel. They announced last week that they left Intel. So that makes you wonder, like, okay, especially Chris Hook, like I believe he worked at AMD for like 10 years.
Quite a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so why in less than a year or maybe a year have you left already? Like that's just a big red flag to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you're technically like really making a major change in your life, moving from one company to another. Obviously, I'm sure he relocated as well. Because AMD is in Texas and Intel is in California, I believe. So that was like some red flags last week. And then this week there's a lot of rumors going on. One is that the efficiency of these discrete GPUs is not anywhere close to what AMD or NVIDIA have, which is kind of not good.
Kind of sounds familiar though from the Intel camp. Efficiencies and
in that. This kind of makes sense to me is that there's not going to be any add-in board partners at launch. That really makes sense, especially from an add-in board partner perspective. Yeah. If you're coming out with a new graphics, a new architecture and everything like that, we're not going to make this. We're not going to put our R&D and our money into making a custom design for this. People might not even want it.
Yeah, have them sit on the shelf and...
Yeah, and then
I am kind of hyped for him. I know Old Man in the chat just said kind of the same thing. He's interested in those cards.
Yeah.
And I hope that Intel does well in them, right? Adding a new player to the game, competition, like we always say, is great. But I don't know. These first iteration may not.
The thing about it is that one, GPU tech is probably so complex and so hard. And why do you think NVIDIA is number one? Because it's hard. And even they're still number one. And the RTX series was kind of crap, like compared to the previous generation, right?
Sure.
And, AMD has always had a hard time keeping up with NVIDIA and all of that. And then Intel, yes, I think if anybody would do it, Intel would be it because they have the resources. But the resources are kind of dwindling. Like, we don't know if this product is 10 nanometer or 14. If it's 14, their 14 nanometer fabs are like pretty, clogged up right now with everything that they're doing. I mean, they put $1 billion into their 14 nanometer fabs, and they still have shortages. Like, there's all that stuff going on with Intel. And I don't think Intel is just like we talked about it last week with their kind of shady release of their 10 series on high-end desktop. Right. Like, there's this big corporate thing that's like, this is the way we're doing it. And I feel that at least in the gaming and enthusiast GPU market, which is where they said they were going to, they wanted to be, there's nobody at Intel that identifies. They have hired people from other companies that identify with those people, but as you saw last week with the high-end desktop launch, they still has to be somebody making these bonehead decisions.
Right. That's out of touch. And
yeah. So all that's going on. And then at Supercomputing 2019, which was a few weeks ago, Intel did announce a new category of GPUs based on the Xe architecture. And these are specifically made for data center, artificial intelligence, and high-performance computing workloads. They're not made for gaming. They're not a consumer card. Intel codenamed this Ponte Vecchio after a bridge in Florence. These are supposed to be 7 nanometer, and they will more than likely won't be here till 2022. One thing that I have to say about this is, yes, Intel did say that they were working on both consumer and enterprise solutions. But do you think that Intel could be like, well, this really isn't working out in the enthusiast space. We're just going to go towards, what we know, enterprise. which is enterprise. And, the enthusiast product will kind of be like dropped.
Possibly. I mean, they've kind of hyped it quite a bit, I think, by releasing some of these images and I don't know, to just drop it. But they also probably have the resources to be able to drop that segment and still be fine.
Yeah, I just think that, we talked about it for a while. We're like, oh, we'll see this at CES. We'll see this at CES 2020. That's like a month away, and I don't see us seeing anything.
No.
I just don't see it unless these rumors are completely wrong. And again, it just really, it makes you wonder what went so wrong with Chris Hook and the other girl who were at AMD for such a long time. They go to Intel, and within a year, they're gone. Like, what happened, right? So it just makes you wonder. But again, these are rumors, so they could show us this. They could show us this.
Right,
picture
they could have
right
that
here.
card or these images. Yeah.
So we could see all this at CES. We don't know. We'll find out. That's all I can really say about it.
Yep.
So on to the next piece of news, which also has to do with Intel. Dell actually had their quarterly results call, which all big companies do, obviously. And when talking about their revenue forecast for the entire year of 2019, they actually cited Intel CPU shortages have worsened their quarter over quarter, impacting their commercial PC and premium consumer PC Q4 forecasted shipments. So basically, they called out Intel and be like, yeah, Intel can't get us enough parts.
I can comment on this from a work perspective, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I got an email from my Dell rep a month or more ago citing this exact news piece that was essentially a confidential message saying, hey, like, we're having issues with Intel stock, so stuff that we would normally be able to provide, there may be more lead time, so get your orders in now type of deal. And previous to that, we had been trying to order some systems and having a lot longer lead time and delivery time on them, and we were all kind of thinking, well, we've got the end of Windows 7 support coming up, and I know a lot of folks are opting to go with new systems as opposed to upgrading their 7 systems to 10. So we kind of were like, well, there may be some of that situation with the lack of product and speed of getting stuff. But I think this actually had more to do with it than anything.
Yeah, and again, they did spend $1 billion to
and still can't keep
retrofit their facilities to make 14 nanometer. Also working on getting 10 nanometer off the ground, and that's a big halt for them as far as performance goes. They just can't match supply, which I guess isn't a horrible thing, but it is when you can't deliver your products that have been ordered probably.
Yep.
So yeah. So Intel's just not.
This has no not good been their news. Year. No,
this has not been their year at all. Another kind of, I guess you could say this is a strike against Intel and a win for AMD. According to a study by the EHA, which is the European Hardware Association, they do an independent study asking people, what CPUs they prefer, what graphics they prefer, and everything like that. And 60% of European PC enthusiasts, so I think it was 10,000 people that responded, 60% of those prefer AMD CPUs, which is kind of, I'm not super surprised at this point. Just because of the availability and pricing and obviously Ryzen 3000 and how good it is now. And I think a lot of people who were maybe on an older Intel chip, they probably upgraded to Ryzen 3000. They were excited about PCI Express 4.0. And, they're on an AMD system, and that's what they prefer right now. I'm not surprised by this. But if you look at it, in last year, AMD only held 40% of this same survey. And the second half of 2019, they went up to 50%, and now they're up to 60%. So that's pretty good deal. Yeah, pretty crazy. Also, AMD graphics cards. The first half of this year, they were at 19%. They went up to 23%. Not like a big deal, but because there are more AMD graphics cards in the market with the 5700 and 5700 XT, you got more choice. So I think more people are going that way.
It is pretty funny though on these graphs, the ratio of NVIDIA graphics on both AMD and Intel CPUs compared to Intel or AMD CPUs with AMD graphics.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think, like I said, I think this is just a great year for AMD. They've kind of done all the right things. It's just now it's in Intel's court to kind of get 10 nanometer going and get us the good products and bring us value, because AMD has done it. So, but again, this isn't like in general, this is just from one survey of 10,000 people
right,
who responded to the survey. So this is
right. What was the audience?
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what that is as well.
Yeah, so this is an independent study, but it's cool to see. And it's another, like I said, another good thing going for AMD. Talking about AMD, we have some news about the X570 successor. It's supposedly supposed to be called X670. It kind of makes sense because we're going up in numbers. But it looks like this will not be made by AMD. So the big thing with X570 is that it was built in-house by AMD, and that it was 3 times. It had a power requirements were 3 times as high as the X470. It required active cooling on almost every motherboard except for one. And it looks like they're going to be shopping this to a third party, which really makes sense. I think the biggest thing with X570 was that AMD wanted PCI Express 4.0. Huge selling point of the platform.
Sure.
I don't think a company like AS Media could meet their requirements, or at the time
Maybe
they
at the
couldn't.
time, I think.
Especially when it comes to like power requirements or power requirements that AS Media was comfortable with, as far as like, oh, now you're going to make motherboard manufacturers put fans on this, they're going to blame us.
Sure.
There could be a lot of politics and things like that. But it looks like X670 will be built by a third party, more than likely AS Media. That's who's built all of the other AMD chipsets. I think it just makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's, let them go back to doing what they do best, right? Like AMD, keep on making chips. As Media, go ahead and make chipsets, or whoever they end up going with.
Yeah, I don't know who. Like I said, we don't know, but it's from, like, again, all these rumors this week. It should be AS Media. You would think they did X470 and X370 and all that. Yep. So yeah. And then we'll go to Zalman, who we haven't heard from.
Who?
Yeah, who's Zalman? We actually talked about Zalman this summer, or not summer. What's that? March, April? Or no, it's the end of May, right? Computex is the end of May.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Zalman, Aaron, we'll show the article that we had for that. Is that at Computex this year, Zalman, of all people, showed a lot. There's actually a lot of coverage, but one of their biggest things was their CNPS 20X cooler, dual tower cooler. The interesting thing about it is that in the center is pure copper, which I absolutely love. And these have finally made it to market.
Can you put that up?
Oh, yeah.
On the screen?
I might.
There we go.
My job here. Here we
Perfect.
go. So awesome dual tower cooler.
Yep.
Copper in the center. Just great. And these have finally come out. Again, they were showed at Computex, and now they were out. So there's a CNPS 20X, which is this guy right here, with a copper in the center, as you can see.
Dual tower, right?
Yeah. Dual tower.
Dual
fans, which do have RGB lighting. Interesting fan design, kind of different looking.
Not a fan of that fan, but.
And then they have the CNPS 17X, which is the single tower. I absolutely love the way this looks. Again, this is like a render, but I still think it looks quite good. And if the performance is good, I think this will be a really great cooler, this one. The 20X is kind of like the big boy if like you really need something this big. This is kind of like an all-around cooler, I think, for a lot of different platforms.
Yeah, I was happy to see them coming back. I've taken a look at a couple of their older CNPS models, and was always really happy with them, and they always seem to perform really well, and then they just kind of disappeared. But it's nice to see them back, and hopefully it performs well.
Yeah, the prices on this so these are only available in Europe right now, but this one was €80 and this one was €60, so pretty high. This one was supposed to be $100 US, which I don't know the conversion, but right around that price. So this is like competing with a high-end Noctua cooler. So hopefully the performance is there. Maybe if we can reach out to them and see if we can get one of these into reviews. I love to test this. I love just big ass CPU coolers. Like, I don't care how much space they take up. I just like this big massive thing in my there. Yeah. Just love it in my system. Seeing this big ass thing, and it just knows that it's a powerful system in there. So yeah, and we'll move on to gaming news. I think yeah. So the Jingle Jam is back again over at Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Bundle. So the Jingle Jam 2019 is going on. I think this is such a great deal. One is that every day you're going to get at least one new game, and it seems so far you're getting like more than one game per day, and everything is going to charity, all of it.
Oh wow! Not just a portion, everything.
Yeah, not just a portion. So basically, you pay $30 is like the minimum.
Okay.
And then with that $30, you get, like I said, a game a day, if not more. And all your money goes to charity, and you're getting. It's kind of like you could. I'll bring up the website where you guys can, go ahead and see this is if you go down here, like here's the games that have been unlocked already. I mean, and it's the 4th. So, and you can see like, this comes in 15 hours, like the 5th. And there's other things on here besides games, like 41% off a purchase on displate.com. Like they're throwing in a lot of things to this to make it really cool. They've sold,
and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they've sold 48,138 of these bundles, raising over $1.5 million, which is awesome. Cool. And again, this is a humble bundle, so you can pay the $30, which is like the minimum to get in on all this, or you can pay $1,000, or you can pay $100, whatever you want to.
Maybe like their #1 contributor who's paid $5,000 for it.
Yeah, he's paid $5,000. And they do have a leaderboard here, so if you pay, I guess, $200 or more, you'll be able to make it on this leaderboard and stuff like that. It's just such a great thing. I think they're streaming every day. The guys over at the Yogcast, they are streaming every day too. So I just think it's such a great thing.
That's cool.
I just threw out the $30 for it because I was like, oh, this is fun. Like every day I'm going to check this page and see what games I get. And if I don't get the games, I can just give the codes to people, or if I don't like the games, I can just give the codes to people or whatever. Yep. So guys, check this out. I think it's really cool. It's great. It's for charity. Like,
codes. That reminds me, I with my purchases we talked about earlier, I have codes for some free games.
That's what I always hate. Not that I hate it, because I can't really complain because I'm getting the products for free. But like when I get a graphics card to review, or like a motherboard that's part of those deals, like I don't get those deals, and I'm like, damn it, I have to like buy that. That game
now.
But anyways, but check this out. We have the link in the article to this. I just think it's such a great thing that they're doing, and it's cool. It's like what's that thing called where you open, like at holiday time, you open the thing.
Oh, advent
calendar. It's like an advent calendar for games.
With games.
Like it's kind of cool. So definitely check it out. $30. Well, like you'll get your money's worth. I think they said there's $708 worth of awesome stuff. So whatever that is. But yeah, definitely cool. Check that out. And our last piece of gaming news is an interesting one.
This is a weird one.
So apparently you can play Doom on really old digital cameras. So the guys from LGR put up this video where they played Doom and even installed an MP3 player on a digital camera from 1998. So if you can remember what digital cameras were like way back when, apparently you can play Doom on them, and it's all possible from a website that no longer exists, but it's in the web archive called Maimed, and they actually have like an MP3 player for these Kodak cameras, Doom for these Kodak cameras,
wow.
Exodus for these Kodak cameras, NES emulators for these Kodak cameras.
Like what? How do you even get this idea? And then they've obviously spent some time on it, because that's a lot of games for a lot of cameras.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's really cool. Funny. The video is pretty cool. I mean, you can actually like see them playing it, which I think is like, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I said, to be able to play the game or like an MP3 player on a camera from 1998.
Right. That's 21 years ago. That's nuts.
Yeah. That's just crazy to me.
That's funny.
And it plays well.
It runs pretty
like
smooth.
It looks like it plays well.
It's not horrible.
And you control with like the buttons on the camera. Like,
well, and that one is nice because it has that kind of D-pad.
Yeah.
It just lends itself to playing.
So if you want to check that out, or say like I can't remember when I got my first digital camera. It was definitely it wasn't 98, but I think it was like early 2000s when I got my first digital camera.
Like late 90s is when I first started using them, like in high school, right? To like take a digital photography class or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if you have one of these laying around, you can play Doom on it if that's what you want to do.
I mean, you're probably not taking pictures with it, so you might as well.
Yeah, you're definitely not taking pictures with it because we all have these things called phones that take pretty decent photos. But yeah, that is it, guys. We usually talk about if we did anything tech related this week, and we both talked about.
Covered that.
Did you do anything else? See anything else?
We did like our little bit of a stream on Black Friday did some gaming there.
Oh yeah,
just had a group of players playing. So that was kind of fun. Past that, no, I mean, a week just flies by.
It's when it's like this time of year, I think that everything just goes so fast. You have family things, then you have to get like all your shopping. Like there's just
shopping,
no time.
Holiday stuff. Yeah.
Oh, we were talking about before the podcast. I played new Star Wars. We talked about it when I first got it. I played it a little bit. I played for 2 hours the other night, and it is such a good game. I feel like I'm playing like you feel like you're playing a movie, and that's what I think most Star Wars fans who are gamers.
That's what they want. Yep.
And it's really good, and even like the correct like I mean I'm running a 2080 Super, so like my graphics are really good, but the graphics are really good. It feels good, like it's just a good game.
Cool.
And then also enjoying The Mandalorian, of course, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus. I've just been working on reviews. That's basically it. Oh, we didn't talk about what's coming up. So Cooler Master sent me their Master Air MA620M. I've been talking about it for 2 weeks, and it did not have the correct RGB controller with it.
Whoops.
So they're sending me a new one. It's in the mail. Hopefully I'll get it in time to have this for next week's thing. So I will be taking a look at that. And I'll be taking a look at a case from Inwin. It's the 309, which is very cool because it has this sort of like 8-bit screen on the front, which you can customize.
There's a lot you can do to that thing. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And they've got some really cool designs there.
I'm gonna try to get like the ThinkComputers logo in there. We'll see if I can do it. But yeah, this is their case. And Inwin always has a weird way with designing things. If you look at the inside, like the airflow is always an issue.
Well, it looks like the 303 kind of to me, where they've got those 3 fans up top like that.
So these are RGB fans too, which is cool. So I'll be taking a look at that. And then I'll be taking a look at one very super crazy secure flash drive. It is the iStorage Data Assure Pro 2. This is the second revision of their super ultimate secure USB flash drive. It's like all of these government compliant security things, hardware encryption. This one's fast. It's USB 3.2 Gen 1 or USB 3.1.
Whatever,
Yeah. And they do really cool things. Like people don't realize like this iStorage, like on their drives, they put this like crazy coating on top of it. So like you can't, like say you broke this up and you wanted to somehow get into it.
Get to the chips, right?
Get to the chips. Like you can't, like there's all this kind of stuff on here. This is FIPS 140 level 2 and 3 compliant, tamper proof, all this kind of stuff. So if you need something that's like crazy secure, this is going to be the drive for you. So I'll be taking a look at that as well. So that is basically it, guys. Be sure to join us here in 15, 20 minutes for our gaming stream.
Yeah, 10, 15 probably.
Yeah, something like that, like 15 minutes on twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. And guys, for the podcast, if you don't want to watch us on the live stream, if you want to get the audio on all of your podcasting software, just search ThinkComputers, all one word. We're on everything. If we're not on some podcasting app that you use, definitely let me know because that means I messed up somewhere.
Yeah, let's get there.
Yeah, let's get us on there. So until next week, we will catch you guys later.